Okay, guys, I'm going to do a quick video on the overfishing and pollution issue in the Mediterranean, which I'm sure most of you people have no idea about, okay? So I'm going to bring this to you guys so that, guess what? You can educate yourselves about issues that are going on around the world. The Mediterranean is a top tourism destination worldwide. Sunbathers, swimmers flock to the sea during summer holidays. Idyllic through it may seem as is not well. Okay. The Mediterranean is the world's most overfished sea, with the highest percentage of unsustainably harvested fish populations, according to the recent report from the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization. Increasing human activity makes the Mediterranean marine ecosystem some of the most periled in the world. Okay, which is sad because the Mediterranean is a beautiful place and this is what's happening. All of the human threats to the Mediterranean, overfishing, bottom trawling, and ocean plastic pollution are the most destructive. We are the worst offenders trashing the world's most popular sea. Now, we discuss this all the time about how humans just don't give a shit. Okay? And we overdo every fucking thing. We overdo shit to the point that there is no more of anything. Okay? Overfishing in the Mediterranean Sea began around the 1970s with the development of technology that allowed fleets to fish further deeper and with greater intensity. As a result, 90% of the Mediterranean fish populations are now harvested in excess of science-based recommendations. The most commercially important species, including European hake, red mullet, and anglerfish, are exploited 10 times over the suggested limits. MedReact, an environmental organization protecting the Mediterranean marine biodiversity, blames political inaction, inadequate control measures, and weak enforcement. The critical state of fishing Oceania holds the European Union accountable for this dire situation. Taking together, the Mediterranean Europe member states catch the most fish in the region and have the biggest and most powerful fleets. In the face of this crisis, fisheries ministers from most Mediterranean countries gathered in 2007 in Malta, where they signed the Med Fish Forever Declaration, a 10-year strategy for cooperative management of region's fisheries. I hope this declaration will come to be seen as a turning point for a bright future for fishermen, coastal communities, and fishing resources alike, said Kem Carmenu Vela, Commissioner for the Maritime Affairs and Fisheries, in a press release from the European Commission. Okay? Now, let me just state that this is not just an issue in the Mediterranean. All of our oceans are being overfished. Underwater bulldozers. Bottom trolling is another widespread problem in the Mediterranean. Large, heavy nets are towed along the seafloor, acting like ocean bulldozers that can wipe out everything in their way. Trawling affects a lot of species like Hoover, and this has an impact on us small-scale fishers. A 34-year-old fisher from Malta told Oceania, "I see a lot of differences in the past 10 years," he said, "and I think there needs to be something done before it's too late." Trawling can cause irreversible damage to the sensitive habitats like deep-sea coral reefs, Gorgon gardens, and sponge grounds. It rips up coral and sponge bed habitats that fish and shellfish depend on for breeding, spawning, and nurseries. This can significantly hamper the recovery of depleted fish stocks. Trawling is also wasteful. Scientists estimate that it generates as much as half of all the discarded fish and marine life globally. Most unwanted catches are juveniles that die in nets and are tossed overboard. Underseas hake and red mullet, which live and feed near the bottom, can make 60% of the bait catch for Mediterranean trawlers. These fish will never have a chance to grow and reproduce, risking damage to the population. Okay? Industrial trawlers are also causing habitat loss. Coral, sponges, and sea grasses are particularly vulnerable. Some Mediterranean seagrass beds, which act as a nursery grounds for many fish species, have already disappeared. In 2016, Oceania successfully contributed to the banning bottom trawling in the Strait of Sicily between Malta, Italy, and Tuscany, and in another region between Mallorca and Menorca in the Balearic Islands. The Western Mediterranean Sea should be next. Oceania in Europe is now calling on the fishermen ministries in Spain and France and Italy to ban bottom trawling to at least 100 meters deep and all year round to protect fish recovery and vulnerable marine life. Maybe they should just stop fucking doing it, period. How about that? Tons of trash, between 1,000 to 3,000 metric tons of plastic are floating in the Mediterranean Sea, according to a 2015 study by the researchers from the University of Caldas in Spain. That's comparable to the level of plastic swirling in the subtropical ocean gears. According to the study, where debris accumulation at the center of the spinning currents of water. The Mediterranean shows one of the highest levels of plastic pollution in the world. Densely populated coasts and high influx of tourists and increasing marine time traffic are responsible for most of the floating plastic. Plastic accounts for up to 95% of the trash collected on shorelines, the ocean surface, and seafloor, according to United Nations Environment Program. Oceania has found plastic in the deepest and darkest of the sea. On one research expedition, Oceania scientists found single-use plastic products 1,000 meters, their underwater robots' maximum depth. Marine litter was the primary focus at the International Our Oceans Conference held in Malta in 2017. Governments made a number of pledges to reduce the negative impacts of plastic waste. The conference also mobilized the business community. Coca-Cola, the largest beverage company in the world, announced that its consumer packaging will be entirely recyclable in the next 7 years. Sky and European media giant launched a Sky Ocean Rescue campaign with an aim of educating the public about ocean plastic pollution. These and other ambitious solutions presented in Malta generated 437 commitments, $7.2 billion in financial promises and pledges to protect an extra 25 million square kilometers of marine habitat. Time will tell if these promises are met. The Mediterranean, once healthy and thriving, is better known today as the world's most overfished sea. Overfishing, bottom trawling, plastic pollution won't disappear in a single day. Even enthusiastic solutions take time. We know the situation. We have the solutions, said Lassie Galveston, the executive director of Oceania in Europe. All we're missing is political action. Now, we all know that, there's no money in cleaning up the oceans. There's only money in ruining them, unfortunately. So, it's just sad that it's gotten to this point, and not to mention all the other issues that we have in the oceans. But I wanted to bring this to you guys' attention because I think it's important for us to pay attention to what's happening in our ocean and with our marine life, and do something about it.